Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Viktoras Makarovs. I'm the Special Envoy on Digital Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Latvia, and it is my great pleasure and privilege to open the 3Cs Initiative's Digital Conference. It takes place physically here at Hotel Radisson Latvia, but it also takes place online. You can watch us on internet directly as well as on Facebook. And before I say a couple of words from the perspective of my ministry, I would like to introduce the event as such to you. First of all, the program of the event is in two parts, and if you are here physically, you have this nice piece of paper with two QR codes. One will tell you the details of the agenda, and the second one contains the list of speakers. We will have an introduction from the host of the conference. After that, we will hear remarks from some of the key players here. They will talk about renewing emphasis on digital policy and regulation amid shifting geopolitics. And after that, at 4 o'clock, there will be a panel discussion on digital transformation in the 3Cs Initiative region and how you address the new challenges there. Before we start, I would like to thank the hosts of the conference. And the hosts of the conference are the American Chambers of Commerce, AmChams in Latvia and in Bulgaria, the Association Digital Poland, and Google. And special thanks, of course, to the Secretariat of the 3Cs Initiative in Latvia for joining us. Now, other speakers today will talk extensively about the digital agenda. We have a strong lineup of speakers to do that for us. Also, my colleague Edgars Bondars, who will join us imminently and is the Latvian 3Cs Initiative ambassador, will talk in detail about this initiative. You know that Latvia will host the next 3Cs Initiative Summit and also a business forum in June this year. Edgars will tell us more. Before we kick off the first part, I would like to say a couple of words on a topic that is closely related to the conference today. The geopolitical aspects of this event, as well as the regulatory challenges that we face. Now, the geopolitics are as clear as they've ever been today. We all now live in a situation of war in Europe, the war taking place in Ukraine, but touching and concerning each and every one of us. I hope that this event today will help us strengthen ties among the like-minded partners who today face a situation in Europe that demonstrates the importance of various areas such as transportation, energy, digital infrastructure, and cybersecurity. And of course, now that all of our eyes are on Ukraine, it's, I think, important to mention that the countries participating in the 3Cs Initiative are also the ones that have been most active in supporting Ukraine, also responding to Ukraine's calls for help with ICT technologies. Just to give you the Latvian example, we have donated, and when I say we, I don't just mean the government, but also the civil society and private businesses, and some of them are present here. Now, the Latvian actors have donated and dispatched ICT equipment to Ukraine, including routers, IP phones, portable radios, cameras, batteries, computers, monitors, computer stands, cables, and so on and so on. It's mundane, but it's extremely important, and we really hope that this will help, and we will continue supporting Ukraine in each and every way possible, and this is one of those ways. We have seen how new technologies can help us in a crisis situation. Again, to give you just one example, the Latvian public administration has language technology. It's a platform called Hugo LV, and it provides automatic translation between different languages. And this platform now also translates to and from the Ukrainian language. So this virtual assistant Help Ukraine bot is the complete guide on Latvia's assistance to Ukraine. This is a technology developed by a Latvian company called Tilde. And again, here is a good example how technology can help us deal with real challenges. And a couple of words about things that I work with mostly in my everyday life. Look, digital, the way we have normally conceived it, also the way this conference was conceived, we imagine it as an area of cooperation, as an opportunity, something that will add value to our societies. But unfortunately, we also see that digital today is a battle area, an area of fierce contestation between democracy and authoritarianism, between different value systems and societal models. And on our border in Russia, we see an authoritarian regime gone rogue that has two trends that stand out: aggression directed at neighbors and the outside world, and oppression directed against its own society. And these challenges require a strong response. In terms of responding to Russia's aggression, to single out one digital aspect, disinformation and information manipulation has been one of the most prominent aspects of what is going on today. And this is very much a digital issue. We need to be better at creating a framework for the digital world and for the online platforms. They need to be better at enforcing their own rules and procedures against the Kremlin's disinformation and propaganda. They need to be more transparent. We are very happy here in Latvia that the EU has agreed on the Digital Services Act that will establish a regulatory system. This is all nice and well, but this is just the beginning of the road. And also, on the other part of this, the global and free nature of the internet, this is also something that we need to work hard on. We know how in the international institutions, in the UN system, the liberal model of the internet, the underlying structure of the internet, that should not be limited to one country, that should not be contained within national borders. This model is now being questioned, so there is a lot of work for us to do. And lastly, I would like to say that this event is of particular importance for us because it is also a chance for us to strengthen our transatlantic ties. The United States is an extremely important ally for Latvia and as well as for the other members of the Three Seas Initiative. with the United States. We share the same values, the same commitment to democracy, rule of law, and human rights. For Latvia, this year signifies an important centenary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries, and it is really important for us to see how strong the American commitment to this transatlantic cooperation, partnership, and alliance is. And just to give you one important example to conclude, I would like to mention the Trade and Technology Council, which is a very practical instrument for closer cooperation on digital issues between the United States and the EU. It's a conversation about standards, including standards on artificial intelligence, on climate and clean tech, on supply chains, semiconductors, platform and data regulation. So lots of important issues that are being discussed. But I think it's also important that we address these issues within this closer group. It does not in any way depart from the conversation between the United States and the EU. On the contrary, here today is our chance to strengthen this dialogue. And with that, I would like to conclude my own remarks and finally ask John Tully, the president of AmCham Latvia, to give his introductory remarks. John, please.
Thank you, Viktors. Hello and welcome on behalf of the American Chamber of Commerce in Latvia to a conference exploring the digital pillar within the framework of the 3Cs initiative. My name is John Tully, and I am the president and chairman of AmCham Latvia, and I'm delighted to welcome members and partners from the entire 3Cs regions joining today's event, and our distinguished guest speakers joining both in person here in Riga and online from across Europe and the United States. Over the years, AmChams have been strong supporters of the 3Cs initiative. Last year, we signed a joint statement to express strong support for better infrastructure, connecting our countries, for more diversified and secure energy resources, and accelerate digital development. We recognize the enormous opportunities the initiative has in store for our region, and we want to help build interest and excitement in the business and investment community. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, promoting regional collaboration has become more relevant than ever. It is critically important to cooperate in the digital area, boosting cross-border connectivity, securing smart energy, transport, and digital networks. Now is the time for our countries to become more closely integrated with one another and within the transatlantic community. I believe the private sector has an important role to play in making sure the 3Cs initiative is a success. The pandemic and now the war in Ukraine have amplified the importance of global supply chains. One of the most critical areas is semiconductor production, without which we cannot achieve real digital sovereignty in Europe. Forums like the 3Cs and EU-US Trade and Technology Council demonstrate the opportunities transatlantic cooperation has in strengthening our technology areas. I look forward to engaging in a conversation with our speakers from the governmental, private, and nonprofit sectors on how we can achieve closer partnerships in the 3Cs region. Thank you very much to our partners, AmCham Bulgaria, Digital Poland, and Google for supporting this important discussion. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I wish you a productive conference.
Now, I'm very happy to do the second part of my job today as a announcer of the speakers in the first panel, and I would like first of all to thank John for the introduction. And also now give the floor to Mr. Raimons Lapiņš, who is the Deputy State Secretary on Economic Issues at the Ministry of Economy in Latvia. Raimons, please.
Hello, everybody. Economics twice in one name, so I'm glad to be there. Cooperation with the United States is, I was thinking how to show how it is important for us, and it's simply when we look at our companies, when they start to export, they achieve at least 30% increase in their productivity. When they enter United States market, statistics shows that they add additional 30% in their value created in the company. So value added increases when you enter United States market. And why it is? There is several fine companies with best strategies in the world, with best management skills, with best approaches to the markets, and that is one of the reasons, most important reasons why it is for us so important to cooperate and be in value chain with the United States. In digital issues, if you look at the same problem from digital point of view, it's nearly the same. Everything what includes digital elements is more productive than things which are not including digital. So actually, when we talk about digital skills, digital integration, digital productions and everything means that everything includes these tools. But specifically, understanding this, that all the national industrial policy is the same digital strategy, the same applies to all other strategies. We still have specific instruments and how we get there. Already before, but 2020 numbers quite well show that in digitalization, we still have, as Latvians, we are proud that we are digital, but still there is a lot of things what we can do and what we can achieve. So Latvia is in 17th position in European Union. Our close neighbors, which is very good that they are so tough on us, is much better. So we have pressures, and with these indexes we can clearly point out where are our strong points and where are not. Digital public service is not perfect, but it's good. Connectivity is good, and we are using digital tools. We are one of the people, if even in states, when somebody is looking for Wi-Fi, it's clearly not Latvian. We are using mobile internet. But in human capital and integration of digital tools in economy, clearly we are not the best one. When we started with specific instruments, we asked businesses what is needed, what is expectations from the companies, and number one is digital skills. Two is robotization, optimization on the company level, and equipment modernization. Everything what relates to digital tools on the shop is the most important. And public digital services companies are using, and they're thinking that this is at this stage very good. So three first, skills and investments in companies in their digital activities. In the middle of COVID, when national strategy industrial policy was approved, specific target, it was clearly that have to be added on digital things, on digital integration. And this is one and only till now strategy in economical development specifically for digital skills where we integrated all parts of investments in one program. So this coordination between instruments is one of the central points in digital strategy from Ministry of Economics point of view. So in the center there is information dissemination center, innovation hub, and around this we coordinate financial instruments for investments, grants for new IT solutions, so companies can accumulate these tools, skills, which have to be coordinated accordingly with investments, development of new products, so that companies not only can buy and use digital tools, but actually invest and develop for themselves, and business environment tools like e-recipes, e-invoices, and so on. As a result, there is additionally, just for digital skills and just for digital transformation, 183 million euros. And as I said, first time in Latvian history, this is integrated strategy where you have all the necessary tools covered and coordinated. Normally, I would stop at this point saying that yes, because it's comfortable part of mine. This is part where, as an engineer, I understand what we are doing and what have to be done. But there is at least two more needs if we want to follow up on digital uptake. Firstly, in digital field, as in any other, there's question of leadership. There is clear separation of tasks between the ministries, but there is no leadership in terms of who is leading, who is owner of transformation, or who is driving it. So this is one of the parts which can be on the table of discussion and would be interesting to hear from experts. And secondly, when we start to talk about when we start to implement digital projects, we nearly instantly hit that Latvian market is too small and regulation, if we want to deploy products globally, these products have to be in line with regulation around the world, at least in neighbors. Coordination between closest neighbors, at least, is very, very limited. So regulation, coordination on new products, coordination on priorities in each of these countries, this is second thing. As a person who have to implement strategy, would be interesting to hear, is there any tools to move this forward? And from my experience, the demand is there. When we are meeting whatever country, Poland, Scandinavian countries, Finland, Estonia, Lithuania, we always come to this understanding that yes, coordination would be nice to have and very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raimond. Coordination, leadership. This is why you have a moderator in a panel. So, as a matter of coordinating, I would like to move this conference a step further and ask His Excellency, U.S. Ambassador to Latvia, John Carville, to give his remarks.
Good afternoon, and good morning to those in the States. It is my pleasure to join the discussion on the 3Cs initiative and digital infrastructure. But first, thank you to the American Chambers of Commerce of Latvia and also of Bulgaria, and to Google, and to Digital Poland, as well as to the ministers and other distinguished guests who are participating today. As you know, the United States is a strong supporter of the 3Cs initiative, and we look forward to the June summit here in Riga. The initiative addresses many of our shared priorities and is working to build energy, transport, and digital infrastructures that are key to Europe's integration. Additionally, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, or also known as the DFC, which is the investment advisor is actively engaged, with the investment advisor of the 3Cs Infrastructure Investment Fund. And together we are exploring the ways that DFC can support the fund and other investments consistent with the mandate of the U.S. Congress. And we hope that these discussions are concluded in advance of the June summit. Our cooperation through fora such as the 3Cs initiative and this conference today is ever more important, Ever since Vladimir Putin's premeditated, unprovoked, unjustified, and brutal invasion of Ukraine that was launched on February 24th. Our partnership through the 3Cs initiative is another demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to counter this aggression. Today's event also demonstrates the essential role of the public-private partnership in the 3Cs initiative. Bringing together the private sector alongside governments is a smart, efficient way to utilize and realize large infrastructure projects. The countries of the 3Cs initiative are among our closest allies, partners, and friends. We share common values and commitments to democratic institutions and free market principles. The United States has deep bilateral cooperation with the 3Cs initiative members on topics ranging from cyber issues to energy security, and we look forward to strengthening that cooperation. An essential aspect of digital infrastructure development is the need for both cybersecurity and the promotion of democratic principles in information and communications policy. Resilient networks are critical for security in the 21st century. These networks will be the foundation of the digital economy and must be underpinned by trust. The nations that make up the 3Cs initiative understand the importance of an open, interoperable, secure, and reliable internet, one that is subject to a multi-stakeholder model of governance. This gives internet users the freedom to innovate and create new technologies. We also see the 3Cs initiative as a crucial forum to demonstrate that it is an open, interoperable, secure, and reliable communications network that assists countries like Ukraine and others who are threatened by Russia's aggression. The United States also supports greater diversity and competition in the telecommunications space, so long as commonly accepted standards of quality and sustainability are met. More open and interoperable network infrastructure holds the potential to lower costs and increase safety and resilience for telecommunications service providers as well as the public. The United States applauds the work of the 3Cs initiative, including both its public and private sector champions. We know that there is incredible potential for the increasing cooperation and connectivity that will enhance the region's security and prosperity. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to address you today.
Thank you, Ambassador. Our next point on the program is Ambassador at Large for the 3Cs initiative, Edgars Bondas, who is on his way here. So I think this will take a couple of minutes, and in the meantime, I suggest that we not yet go to the next panel, but at least I think if we have the moderator of the next panel, Mr. Michal Kanovnik here. Do we have Mr. Michal Kanovnik? Perhaps, Michal, if you would like to at least introduce what your panel will talk about, and then I think while you're doing that, Edgars Bondas will have made his way to this conference room and will be able to give his speech. Would that be all right with you?
Sure.
You can also take the podium here.
Thank you very much. I will try to make my short introduction statement before my panel, and then, yes? So maybe let's go back to the right direction. So the floor is yours.
So then back to the first panel again, and I would like to immediately ask Edgars Bonders, again, Ambassador at Large for the Three Seas Initiative, to come to the podium and give us his perspective on cooperation on digital within the Three Seas Initiative. Edgars, I know you are just coming here after a short run, but I'm sure you will be perfectly all right.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, Ambassador. My apologies for coming late. We just finished one meeting in Presidential Castle related to Three Seas Initiative. We had a Sherpas meeting format. It's a format where foreign advisors of presidents of Three Seas Initiative are meeting and discussing, and one of the discussion points was declaration of upcoming Three Seas Initiative Summit. And for this declaration, one very specific element, of course, will be a digital pillar. And there is idea to create cybersecurity platform, new cybersecurity platform, which will cover not only Three Seas Initiative countries. The idea is to develop this new cybersecurity platform, and it will include not only state institutions and agencies, but also private entrepreneurs, private enterprises. Because well, it's obvious that challenges of last couple of months is strengthening specific points in our needs and needs of Three Seas Initiative. Regarding preparation of summit, I can assure that everything is going quite smoothly and well, and we are designing a business forum which seems to be very interesting and very attractive. So I really hope that this digital agenda will be really on the top of priorities, of course, along with other priorities, which are transport, which are logistics, which is another is energy. Well, all of those topics are very important, and of course, and war in Ukraine brought a lot of new elements in agenda of Three Seas Initiative Summit. There is absolutely new way to think about energy security and energy resilience in our region. There is absolute need to overview the effectiveness of supply chains. We know that Ukraine is one of the biggest suppliers of the Europe and world for grain, and that's why this war in Ukraine affects all of our life, and let's hope that we will have during Three Seas Initiative Summit a good discussion. It will be attractive, it will be a lot of new ideas, it will be very interesting, and I really hope that substantially it will be very rich and geographically very wide. Thank you very much for attention. I'm at your disposal for questions, and please ask. I will reply. Thank you very much.
It's amazing how people can say so many important and useful things in such a laconic manner that we actually are ahead of time with this conference, which is to be celebrated, I think. But it also means that we are going to go ahead with the next panel discussion, which I would like to again ask Michal Kanovnik to come to the stage to present. Please.
Thank you very much. One more time. Thank you very much.
My name is Michał Kanownik. I'm president of Digital Poland Association and one of the leader of CE Digital Coalition, which is coalition of business organizations which support Free Seas initiative. Today I would like to discuss with my guests about digital transformation in Free Seas region. But first, let me say a few words of introduction to our discussion. Since the discussions we had last summit of Free Seas Initiative in Sofia, our community involved in digital landscape has been constantly debating the digital priorities we would like to see the Latvian presidency put on the initiative agenda, and the position of the entire digital pillar should have relative to transport and energy. And of course, we just heard that this digital pillar will be very important for Latvian presidency, and it's very, very good information for whole digital industry in our region, and not only because it's very important for whole European market. The final stretch before the next Free Seas Initiative Summit and Business Forum took an unexpected, awful turn as a Russian invasion of Ukraine began. It also forced some answers to the said discussion. We now realize that the digital pillar must be considered not only as a vital driver of the economy and societal progress, but also in terms of security strategic foundation, as a must for efficient connectivity and as the key channel of information flow. The digital may be more important than ever before, and the priorities of digital transformation become clear. Countries of Free Seas Initiative have shown commendable support for Ukraine and its people, which is clearly the only imaginable step to take, but the war we are witnessing begs questions about the steps to follow. Are we willing to take the risk of not becoming even more united in terms of infrastructure, especially cybersecurity infrastructure, and connected in terms of information and technology flow? Even the slightest threat to one of our region's countries should raise this question. Answer to this question is more of a global issue than ever before, highlighting the deep underlying Free Seas Initiative and United States transatlantic partnership. How do we not only use this relationship to its full potential in overcoming current issues, but strengthen it in the process as well? Perhaps we are at a turning point of the entire idea behind the Free Seas Initiative and its local and global significance, with the aspect of digital becoming even more important. With that, I would like to start this discussion at a rather high note and invite my distinguished panelists to kick off with short opening statements before my questions on how they see significance of the digital under today's challenging geopolitical circumstances. And let me introduce my panelists, and step by step I will ask them for this very short opening statement. Our first guest is Artūrs Toms Plēss, Minister of Environmental Protection and Regional Development of Latvia. Okay. First, our guest is Mark Boris Andrijanic. He's the Minister of Digital Transformation from Slovenia. Mr. Minister is our guest online. We're still waiting for Mr. Minister. Okay, let's go further. Next, our guest is Minister of Foreign Affairs in Poland, and unfortunately, we are waiting for Mr. Paweł Jabłoński because they have a very urgent meeting in the Chancellor of Prime Minister because of Ukrainian situation. Next, our guest is Jan Brzeziński, Senior Fellow, the Atlantic Council, Washington, D.C., USA. We have connection with Jan Brzeziński?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Nice to hear you, not see you, because unfortunately we can't see you. Thank you, Jan, for your time, and Please, we are waiting for this short opening statement from your side. Okay, because our first guest in my panel is ready in the room, so maybe I will invite Minister Artur Toms-Pleš, Minister of Environmental Protection and Regional Development of Latvia. Okay, we are waiting for a microphone. In the meantime, I will invite on the stage our next guest, Peter Ivanov, CEO, American Chamber of Commerce in Bulgaria, one of the biggest ambassadors of Free Cities Initiative in Europe.
Welcome, Minister. Hello. Very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Please. So one more time, after my short introduction, we would like to hear from your side, gentlemen, a short 2-3 minutes of introduction statement for our discussion, and then we will forward to my questions. Mr.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good day, everyone. As I understand, you had pretty intense day already before I joined you here. But I'm really happy to be here among you to really have this, I have to say, really important discussion that we are having today. How can we foster digital transformation? How can we make better connectivity? And also in this very moment, how can we protect ourselves in cyber sphere, and especially between our countries in this 3 Cs initiative region. We see that this extremely volatile geopolitical situation and the war that is waged by Russians in Ukraine basically sets us in a totally different field, like we were 2-3 months ago. And therefore, it is really important that we take our lesson and we invest in better connectivity among our countries. We invest to be more cyber resilient and to protect ourselves not only from the possible threats that can occur, but also in the meantime we invest in a meaningful digital transformation that will help us, our businesses succeed not only here in European region, but it will help us to also strengthen transatlantic ties. That is really important for us as well from the so to say democratic countries' point of view. Therefore, I'm really happy to see that not only the countries who are involved in this initiative are actively working, are actively looking for partners and fields and areas where to invest in, but also we see that more and more partners from other regions are joining. I have to say a big thanks for as well for the United States that are actively taking part in this, but also Canada, UK, Japan, and other countries that are looking really forward on what we can really foster here and what kind of investment and more closer ties to bring, because I really see that this initiative and the forum that we are planning in this June overall is going to be a dynamic process, because we live in a dynamic world. Therefore, I think there's a really good things that we can build upon from this point forward.
Thank you very much. I fully agree that Free Cities Initiative is from last 2-3 months, I think that become more and more crucial initiative for future of whole Europe, frankly speaking. So I agree that for more and more countries in the world, they will be very important partner for building the future relationships. Okay, so Peter, before you, maybe our guest online, Jan, please, your very short opening statement before our discussion.
Well, thank you, Michael. I can see you can hear me. Is that thumbs up?
Everything's clear.
Great. Well, let me start by thanking the AmChams of Latvia and the Bulgarian, I say Petar there, Digital Poland, and the other sponsors of this event. It's extremely timely as we approach the 7th 3C Summit in Riga, and I really look forward to being there. I was asked to kind of share my thoughts on what is the impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine on 3Cs. And it's pretty clear to me that this unjust and brutal invasion of Ukraine only underscores both the importance and the urgency of the 3Cs initiative. As this community knows, 3Cs is all about fostering regional connectivity, building those cross-border connections in the digital, energy, and transport domains. And that connectivity is more than just a matter of convenience. It's a powerful driver of economic growth, economic power, and economic resilience. And it's notable to me, as someone who focuses primarily on political military affairs, that Putin's rapacious appetite for territory has been directed primarily toward those nations that are least integrated into Europe, least integrated into the broader transatlantic community. And just yesterday we learned of Russia's cutoff of gas to Poland and Bulgaria. That certainly underscores how important it is to have multiple sources of energy, and that, of course, requires cross-border infrastructure. This violence against Ukraine and Russia's effort to use its energy resources to intimidate the rest of Europe should give impetus to accelerate the implementation of the vision rolled out by the 3Cs, the completion of an undivided, integrated Europe. As the West, including the 12 nations of the 3Cs, grapples with the immediate military challenges of Russia's aggression, helping Ukraine defend itself, it also has to begin now the planning necessary to both reinforce economic resilience of Central and Eastern Europe and to help the Ukrainians reconstitute their nation economically once that is possible. And the 3Cs initiative should be a core part of that strategy. It provides an innovative way to leverage the power of private capital to drive forward infrastructure development. And that is key at a time when the resources of our governments are totally being strained. This is possible for the 3Cs, assuming the war doesn't escalate and expand, because the economic fundamentals of the 3Cs region remain fundamentally unchanged, even despite this crisis. And toward this end, I hope that in the weeks leading to Riga, the 3Cs nations will issue something they haven't done quite yet, which is issue a vision statement regarding its aspirations regarding the entirety of Central and Eastern Europe, not just the 12 3Cs nations. They need to articulate a vision that points to a future where countries like Ukraine, once they qualify, can be welcomed into the 3Cs community. And I hope there'll be a real effort in the coming weeks to identify cross-border projects that involve Ukraine when the time is right, that could be part of the 3Cs portfolio of infrastructure projects. So in short, Russia's brutal and unjust invasion of Ukraine has underscored the significance of the 3Cs initiative. It has given urgency to the implementation of its vision. And the crisis is also a reminder that the 3Cs need to more clearly expand its vision to the rest of Central and Eastern Europe and act on it. That is how the 3Cs contributes to the completing of the vision of a Europe that is undivided and free.
Thank you very much, Jan. Nice to see Mark Boris-Andrianic, Minister of Digital Transformation from Slovenia.
Great
nice
to see you all. Thank you.
On the screen. So maybe let's go to you. And please, very short opening statement, a few words about digital transformation and future of 3Cs initiative in this area.
Thanks so much, Michał. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see so many friends on this panel. Let me just start by saying that I believe the digital pillar of the 3Cs initiative has truly never been stronger. And I can safely say that the cooperation between the 3Cs initiative digital ministers has never been better, which is terrific news. I can also say that our impact on the EU digital policies has rarely been greater. And given the crisis and the war in Ukraine, I would also add that the need for a strong 3Cs initiative has never been more urgent. Now, I can say that I'm incredibly proud that the Slovenian EU presidency in the second half of last year intensified our collaboration on a number of key digital files, ranging from DSA, DMA, all the way to NIS2 directive. I'm also proud that Slovenian EU presidency, together with the Atlantic Council, organized the first 3Cs initiative ministerial summit on digital transformation. Now, that event really helped us establish a platform for exchange of best practices, as well as a better coordination on the EU policies. Now, as a result of that event and many other interactions, Slovenia will be signing an MOU with Poland on cybersecurity and a number of other areas in the field of digital transformation. So this kind of bilateral and multilateral exchanges definitely lead to very tangible results for our countries. That event also created a platform that helped us kick off the tech support for Ukraine right after the war started. I'm proud that we managed to organize a joint call between the Ukrainian government and the 3Cs initiative digital ministers, literally a couple of days after the start of the hostilities. And that basically led to a very strong EU-wide coordination when it comes to tech support for Ukraine. And as a result of a great work done by Janusz, Cedric, and other colleagues all across the EU, thousands of Starlink kits, servers, electric generators were delivered and are continue being delivered to Ukraine as we speak. So I think we have a great opportunity here to show leadership, and this is something that Poland and the rest of the region definitely did show. But we also have a longer-term responsibility towards Ukraine. Even when the war is over, and hopefully that will happen soon, the reconstruction process will probably go on for a very long time. So we should start getting ready for it so that we ensure all the necessary support for our Ukrainian friends and partners when it comes to the reconstruction effort, also when it comes to the EU accession effort. I think we should continue being the most staunch advocates of Ukrainian EU membership and support our friends in every possible way. So I think there's a historic need for our initiative to continue its work and to strengthen our resolve. And I look forward to the rest of this discussion.
Thank you very much. And now, please let me ask Marta Poślad, Director for CE and Transatlantic Public Policy at Google, for her short opening statement for our discussion. Marta?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Michał, and huge thanks to all organizers for bringing us together at a critical time to continue the critical discussions that have been happening over the years. And as one of my fellow panelists already said, more critical than ever. I'm in a comfortable position now because I can only say +1 to everything that has been said. Why this is so significant that we're meeting in the format of 3SI, why digital transformation is more important than ever. But what I'd like to add from the business perspective is that especially in the past 2 months, when we've been all facing and witnessing the horror in our region, but also in our jobs, we've been facing a lot of new challenges. The 3SI platform and the partnerships that we've built over the years have proved to be working, have proved to be enablers for providing substantial help for resolving issues in the digital world. And I have to say, I'm very proud that Google and myself personally, we have been invested for such a long time. And when the test came, I think as the community here of the digital 3SI, we've passed this test. I'm looking forward to the discussion today and seeing what's ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. And last but not least, Petar Ivanov, CEO, American Chamber of Commerce in Bulgaria. Petar, short, opening few words from your side.
How shorter I can be. Thank you very much for this invitation. Thank you to Google, like our sponsor. I was thinking, should I say that? Before I said that I'm 50% Bulgarian, 50% Ukrainian, because my mom is from Western Ukraine. Today, I'm a bit emotional. I'm 100% Ukrainian. That's probably what I should say from the last summit that we had. And I'm very proud to be, by the way. And Jan Brzezinski said, as we speak, Russia used the gas like a weapon, and for Bulgaria and Poland, the gas was cut today. Our government and Prime Minister Petkov is in Kiev as we speak. And I would like to apologize for Minister Vorer, who's supposed to be here, and he will be responsible for the 3Cs initiative, but you can understand what's going on. We are acting in the emergency mode. I believe that very soon we're going to support not only indirectly, but directly Ukraine. And you know what, guys, I was traveling from Sofia to Latvia. I have been here 2008. I was working for Cisco, and Baltic States used to be part of my responsibility. Since that time, it took me, nothing was changed. I was traveling all day, getting up at 4 o'clock and coming here only in the afternoon. Going through Munich, and the way back I'm going to Zurich. How nice. The issue with the digital is the digital things are traveling and data traveling exactly the same way. A bit faster than me, honestly, but it doesn't matter. And I was asked during the interviews about many times, if the 3Cs supported by the State Department and all of us is not a threat to Russia. What do you think? What we see today, who is threatening who? And I believe that if we are smart, if something positive out of this awful aggression, it could be only one thing. We need to be united, and we need to use all of the technology to be even more united, if you wish. And I hope that next time I'm coming here, I'll not travel more than 2 hours. It's supposed to be.
Thank you very much, Petar. And right now, finally, I can start my questions to our guests. So thank you for your opening statements. So let's start from you, Mr. Arturs. The circumstances we find ourselves in may call for taking 3Cs initiative significance to an even higher level and making it a truly strategic initiative fundamental to the entire Europe, even maybe more than Europe. Even the word rather than an investment or financially focused framework. In your opinion, what should the focus of 3Cs initiative in the digital aspect right now? Should security come first, or maybe something different in your opinion?
I believe that at this very moment, the 3Cs initiative should focus on strengthening security between our countries. And I'm happy also to see Mark remotely here. And I believe that we have shown that we can deliver, and we can deliver rather quickly. And in these times like these, when we are going through crisis, we actually can, so to say, bring a light and much more light to these kind of a cooperation that is surely needed. And we really saw that in short time, 3Cs initiative countries, thanks to also Slovenian leadership, showed that we can set the pace and set the tone, not only in the countries that are here in the Eastern Europe, but also for the rest of the European Union, and not only there. And I was happy to see other countries to join our initiative and join forces to help Ukraine in various perspectives regarding digital transformation and digital activities. Therefore, Latvia as the country holding the presidency this year has the security topic at the very top of our priority list, and I think that this should also be a top priority at the moment between 3Cs initiative countries as well. In addition to that, we see that of utmost importance today when choosing various activities, for example, how we're planning infrastructure and investing in that. I believe that we have to choose vendors of digital solutions from the countries that we share the same values, because at this very moment, like many of you said, when the war will be over in Ukraine, we will have to help to rebuild, and therefore also from the security perspective, investment in this kind of infrastructure it will be important also to enclose them together with the European Union countries, and also strengthen those transatlantic links, what I already mentioned. Therefore, I think this is of utmost importance that we also, at this very moment, make a strategic choice, thinking about the future of cybersecurity, that we invest wisely by choosing especially those digital solutions that come from countries that we share the same democratic values. Therefore, we see that in this current geopolitical situation, we have to facilitate the development and strengthening of connectivity. So not only data flows more freely, but also it's far more convenient to travel and come to 3Cs initiative countries. And it will also come in favor in building more efficient and more resilient supply chains, but not only that.
Thank you very much. I fully agree that cybersecurity must be on the first position, but of course we can't forget about the whole rest of digital issues which are on our agenda. My next question is to Mark Boris Andrianic, because last year in October, you were in Warsaw during our meeting of our digital coalition during the digital summit in Warsaw. And in Warsaw, you have mentioned the amazing progress which CEE countries made over the recent decades. You have also said our region can become the tech and economic powerhouse of Europe over the next 20 years if we stay on the path of digital transformation, work closely together, exchange best practices, and encourage each other. These conditions sound more applicable today than ever before. Do you see the region and its digital agenda becoming closer? Will the war catalyze this process? What areas do you feel like we need to work on the most to make this prediction a reality?
Thank you. That's a great question. I would say that we're on the right path, but we shouldn't become victims of our own success. Meaning that we should remain super focused on the fundamentals, meaning how to create and attract top talent. This is a critical issue when it comes not just to the development of the IT industry in the region, but virtually any other industry as well. So number one is talent. Number two is how do we continue to have the best and most competitive business environment in Europe. This is super important. We need to keep our taxes low. We need to make the access to capital easier than in other places across the EU. And I would say the third thing is how do we keep and upgrade our global mindset? We've seen incredible IT success stories spreading all across our region, but most of them were regional IT successes. Now, we've had a couple of IT global, I would say, startups and scale-ups, but we need to have many, many more. So how can we actually make our region a starting point for a global business, be it local or foreign? And I think the fourth point and the last one would be we need to ensure that our transatlantic ties are as strong as ever. We've shown again and again, as Marta said, that we are the favorite destination of US companies in Europe, and we should remain so. This kind of, I would say, angle brings a lot of benefits to our societies, to our governments, and our economies. It also shows how much can be done in crises like this one. As Marta mentioned again, Google and many other US tech companies have done a tremendous job in our region helping Ukraine. And this is no coincidence. This is precisely because they've been investing here for literally decades, because we've been welcoming them with open hands. And I think we should continue with this kind of transatlantic partnership in many, many years to come. So, in short, let's stay focused on the fundamentals. Let's not grow lazy and victims of our own success.
Thank you very much, Mark Borys. I hope that only that the war in Ukraine won't be a break in this process that you are mentioned, and that investing American, not only American investments in our part of Europe will be increasing still, and the war will end as soon as possible, I hope. Let's go to the United States and to Washington and to Jan Brzezinski. Jan, the next question to you. The region united under the Free Seas Initiative agenda shares a special relationship with the USA. We all agree about it. The United States have provided great support for Ukraine facing Russian aggression as well, clearly understanding the stakes of the war. How do you think the Russian invasion affects both the viability and urgency of regional connectivity and initiatives like the Free Seas?
Well, at risk of being a little repetitive, based on your question, I think it underscores how important it is. And Petar just described, some of the legacy that has been inherited from the past. I mean, the fact that it took him 3/4 of a day to go from Sofia to Riga shows that there are tremendous inefficiencies. And those inefficiencies in terms of infrastructure have not only economic ramifications in terms of impairing growth, impairing the ability to kind of fully maximize the economic potential of the region, it also has security ramifications. Because if it takes him that long to go as an individual on a north-south axis along Central Europe's eastern frontier, imagine how much time it takes to move heavy equipment, for example, for military security. So this crisis has really been a powerful reminder of how important it is for the region and for the West to help Central and Eastern Europe overcome this infrastructure deficit, catch it up to the infrastructure level of development in Western Europe. And this is, some estimate to be $1 trillion deficit. But it has very, very real economic implications, and it has very, very real military implications, security implications. So in short, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has only highlighted the urgency and importance of the Three Seas Initiative.
Thank you very much, Jan. I hope that before our debate, we're discussing with Peter about the whole situation, and we hope that in Europe and Free Seas countries, in the United States, there will be understanding the situation and the crucial role of this kind of initiative, especially Free Seas, in this moment, in this situation around Ukraine and Russia. And I hope that after this war, together, Free Seas countries and United States will be much more stronger, much more united, and much more clever for the future. Peter, next question to you. Of course, if our guests would like to add something, so feel free and let me know meantime. Peter, we're discussing the changes that need to take place in the process of digital transformation of our region and the growing importance of cybersecurity, absolutely crucial. More specifically, what do you think is the most pressing area to make the region ready for challenges of today and tomorrow? Would it be infrastructure, competence, dedicated funds? What are the threats and obstacles we need to answer in the first place? Disinformation, attacks against private public institutions, infrastructure?
So, Michał, thank you for the question. Actually, $1 million question. I'm afraid that about last summit, before it was such an event, before the Sofia summit, and I said and compare the 3Cs initiative with the Marshall Plan. I even call it small Marshall Plan. I just didn't know that time that that will be a war associated exactly like the Second World War to this statement. I hope that I'm not going to make any more prediction, and I will be trying to be very careful what I'm saying. But if you ask me, as we speak, in our region, cybersecurity and disinformation is coming probably #1 concern. Because the modern battlefield, this is not only weapons. If somebody do not understand that, he's very wrong. If we're looking on the past wars, such a thing never existed. And now disinformation is part of the weapons. Unfortunately, in our region, we do not have even one common cybersecurity center. I'm coming from the industry, 25 years I spent with the large ICT corporations from the United States, and I can tell you the most important thing is to sharing, to having the common legislation where we can share information, because you can bet that the first attacks are coming not to our countries. Probably they're coming to the bigger countries than ours. So if somebody already have experienced that, the most important in this is to share. But to share, you need to have a very special system of doing that. And I can give you thousands of examples, but probably I can give you an example with AmCham Bulgaria. We have been attacked directly from Belarus. And we got the information after we asked that the IP address is actually based in Belarus. That attack already have been occurred on a couple of our colleagues from other AmChams, and we just move our cybersecurity protection under attack. But I'm just giving you that common cybersecurity center for Eastern Europe, or in a couple of places which are very sensitive, would be absolutely necessary thing. And legislation where the ministers can work and the countries can work to share that information, even more important than technology and people. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you, Petar. We'll come back to this issue, but first I would like to ask Marta about, I think that one of the most important issue in the war in Ukraine, I mean about information and disinformation problem. Marta, following up on one of the issues Petar mentioned, countries of 3Cs initiative, their economies and citizens have benefited greatly from the digital transformation, happening in part using the tools provided by the leading digital market players, including Google. However, during this war, the crucial thing, I think, that is power of information and disinformation. And I would like to ask you about responsibility in this area. How does a company navigate such a difficult situation right now? What can you do, and what do you ask for from the policymakers, not only to continue your activity, but also to engage in the reinforcing of the region's digital realm? Marta?
Thank you so much. I think it's indeed a critical question to ask. And before we get to disinformation, I think the whole information piece is very important. And the way we hear from our Ukrainian partners today, the way they can convey their messages with the use of new technologies is extremely important. And I think like that also calls for recognition, while at the same time we should not be shying away from the discussion on disinformation. And the way we look at this at Google at the moment, these two pillars are 2 out of 4 of what we're focusing on. So first is definitely preventing disinformation. 2 is ensuring that there is a continuation in providing authoritative sources of information. On the top of that, there is, of course, cybersecurity that is closely related, and 4 is humanitarian assistance, be it with or without the use of technology. Speaking of behalf of Google, and these are the things I think the whole world was monitoring and looking at closely. As you know, we've blocked Russia state-sponsored media. There are hundreds and thousands of channels that have been blocked in that similar vein, and this effort doesn't stop. So we always say that more can be expected. On the top of that, there are different approaches to demonetizing a certain type of content. That's another move, and of course, pausing serving ads. So these are the steps we could take in the first weeks of the war to, on the one hand, prevent disinformation, but very often also to take an economic position on how we see the war as a company. And I'm really glad to see that among other partners from the industry, we've made additional commitments to fight misinformation, and we are now in the process of setting up new partnerships, of getting even more insight into new streams of disinformation. I hope I'll be able to report back more on that shortly. One thing that worries me in particular is the fact that disinformation is being constantly reinvented. So, of course, first we saw a lot about what this war is and what it is not. That was debunked very quickly. What I see now is are so many incentives to hate against refugees in neighboring countries, and we're constantly discovering this new veins every single day. But I think Google and I see other companies doing the same. I think we're very cognizant of the responsibility that is with us, and I think it's critical that so many U.S. tech companies are in our region, that we have our headquarters here, that we have lots of employees, and it's critical for the context of how our global companies operate. So I'm really glad that it wasn't starting from scratch, but actually just stepping up in what we've been already doing. And to your question on what we would be asking policymakers, I would say that participating in platforms like 3SI that bring together many perspectives, that show broader region and not just one country, that is critically important to build the trust, confidence, interest for the region. So again, huge thanks to all the supporters of this platform, being from public or private or non-profit sector. And then again, investment incentives are very important. I see a lot of discussion across 3SI countries about how an investment is being either put on hold or it's not going to flow in as expected. And I think we all hold a responsibility for the reputational short-term and long-term future of the region. Google took a very firm position here. It was the third week of the war when we confirmed and announced our $700 million US investments in Poland to grow and continue to grow and further develop our operations here for the research and development center. And we felt that this announcement, it wasn't just brand and reputation marketing but also sending a very important message that we have a lot of trust in the region, we have a lot of confidence. We want to send a message to other businesses that it's continuously safe and important to invest in the region. And again, it's important more than ever. And we've been having those discussions for years now. It's critically important that 3SI has the ambition to develop joint digital policies agendas, joint priorities. Of course, this will not be legislation, as there is no format for that, but it's critically important that a big chunk of the EU member states is coming together, agreeing on shared values, bringing them back to Brussels, sometimes to Washington, DC. And I think, especially, there have been a lot of discussions about strategic autonomy, digital sovereignty in the EU, and what the past 2 months have shown is that, first of all, diversity is always good. Second of all, the transatlantic partnership has been playing a critical role, be it on the military side, but also on the technology side, on the information side, and that calls even more for developing 3SI platform in the context of the transatlantic partnership.
Thank you, Marta. During our panel, our participants can send questions to our guests, and please let me ask these questions during our discussion. And first question for our participants, maybe before our second round of questions. Marta, and it's a question to you first. Please share your opinion on free economy sectors where you see 3C's initiative digital transformation would bring the highest added value for all partners, except cybersecurity. So Marta, free sectors of free, but not cybersecurity.
Oh, I would certainly say e-commerce. That's a natural step where we see very often a similar level of the development of digital skills and digital needs and potential to experts. I think the 3SI region has a lot of common interests here, especially if you think about like how to use EU funds for leveraging the region. That would be one. Two would be cloud adoption, with reference to data localization, where again we see much more eagerness of local ecosystems to work with you as partners than in other parts of the world. Again, Google last year opened the first cloud data region out of Warsaw, which processes the data locally. And from the very beginning, we knew that this is not going only to serve Poland, but also neighbors and other partners from the 3SI. And third, I would just like generally say, looking at, in the same way I talked about e-commerce, that probably would be startups. Again, there are a lot of similarities, a lot of joint challenges, but also a lot of opportunities and potential, given all the talent coming out of our region, and entrepreneurial spirit. Again, something, if you would look at the startup ecosystem from Baltics to Balkans, that becomes that is a heavyweight that could be very well coordinated. And again, this is where 3SI is coming in. I know that it's sometimes very challenging for individual countries to have their offices representing their interests, be it in Brussels, in DC, in San Francisco. I know that like Slovenia has been attempting actually recently and open up their own office, but I can imagine that for startup ecosystems, it would be much easier to come together as 3SI embassies rather than just individual countries. And then again, when it comes to policy agenda, I'm personally a huge fan and a big supporter of the idea to have a 3SI secretariat. We've seen a political challenge in that. But my big wish and my big hope, maybe for the upcoming summit in Riga, would be to perhaps think about the 3SI business secretariat, where local companies, maybe with support of invested international companies, could be serving as that important point of contact. And I think it's critical that we institutionalize the interest in the region that has grown significantly for the past 2 months. That all the messages and all the ambitions that are shared at summits and from an event to an event are actually carried over. And it's a great hat and umbrella over many of activities that are happening. So I'm very positive about the potential of having very concrete deliverables.
Thank you very much. I would like to add to your suggestion about the secretariat that during Polish presidency in Visegrad Group last year in Krakow, our government signed a special protocol for digital priorities for Visegrad Group. I'm dreaming that in the Free Seas initiative, all countries will sign the same similar declaration about digital priorities for our region, and this is a small suggestion to your presidency right now. But the same question about these three digital sectors to Mark Borys and Rianic, please, and then I will have the next question to our Minister of Pleś. Mark Borys, these three sectors except cybersecurity, what will be the best for our region?
I would say gaming. We have a huge track record in this area. Number 2 is fintech. We've seen some amazing developments in the Balkans, in the Baltics in this area. And number 3, the health tech sector. Here, I think we have an important edge over some of our Western competitors. Now, as Marta mentioned, we need to make ourselves visible in Silicon Valley and other key technological centers that aren't just centers of cutting-edge innovation, but also of capital, because we need to become better at attracting foreign capital into our startups and scale-ups. I think what can characterize CEE is that we have an abundance of startups, but we could have a lot more successful scale-ups. And for that, you need, again, talent, you need capital, you need enabling environments, and so on. And the idea of establishing a tech embassy of Slovenia in the Silicon Valley comes exactly from this point. Nobody wakes up in Palo Alto thinking about CE in the morning. We're far from the United States. We've been cooperating brilliantly, but again, we need to make ourselves a lot more visible than we are today. Now, what we're trying to do with this tech embassy is follow a successful example of Denmark and some other EU member states that have done so many years ago. And in Denmark's case, they've had that tech embassy in Palo Alto for the past 15 years. They started off with a couple of employees. Now they have 40. 20 of them are focusing on business development, meaning connecting Danish startups and scale-ups with American corporates or VCs. But the other half of the staff is working on policy coordination and academic and research partnerships. Yeah. Now, we will be opening this kind of tech embassy, obviously not with 40 people. We'll be starting with 2 in 1 month time in Palo Alto. And if it goes well, I strongly suggest we team up over the next year or 2 to make sure that we have one tech embassy for the entire region. There's another point that I would like to make. When it comes to disinformation, and it became clear very early during the conflict in Ukraine that a lot of big platforms, especially social media platforms, don't have strong local presence in our countries. Not even Poland. I'm not talking about Google, of course, but some other big players. And Poland is a market of 40 million people. Now imagine there are a lot of countries in our region that are far smaller, which means that I think this conflict was a great opportunity for us to press these players to create greater footprint in our countries, and to make sure they have native speaking content moderators, even in a country like Slovenia with 2 million speakers. So I think we're getting there, and this conflict has definitely created this sense of urgency to cover every single language, every single country in Europe, especially when it comes to smaller ones, because we are more vulnerable to outside actions than many of the big markets or countries across the EU. Now, the last point I would highlight is that money is not a problem. We have Recovery and Resilience Fund. We have Cohesion Fund at our disposal, which means that we have hundreds of billions of euros for green digital transformation. But again, it's going to be super important how we implement those projects. And this is an area where I think our countries lack capacity, because we'll have to spend those tens of billions very fast and hopefully in a concerted manner. So I see 3Cs initiative as a great coordination point when it comes to cross-border projects that can be financed with this huge EU funds. I'm glad that we have a lot of coordination already in this area, but a lot more will be needed, because I don't think our countries are utilizing those funds optimally at the moment. So we'll have to step up and double down on that as well.
Thank you very much.
Michael, can I add to that?
Sure, Jan.
Yeah, I want to reiterate what Marta and Mark were emphasizing. One of the shortcomings of the 3Cs initiative is that its execution is largely iterative. It goes from summit to summit. There are Sherpa meetings that meet once a month. There's events like this, but there is no 24/7 shop, an office, a secretariat that's operating 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to basically market the region. I mean, to market the region, not just in Central Europe, but in Western Europe and Japan and Korea, globally. That's what's going to be necessary to bring this initiative up to the next level, where we then start seeing a more consistent launching and financing of different projects. And as Mark and Marta was pointing out, such a secretariat doesn't just have to be a marketing arm, it could also be an incubator of initiatives to help harmonize the region's different laws to make it easier and more appealing to do something as complex as a cross-border infrastructure investment. And this is really, really important, because as Mark was pointing out, this is where you get the power of a group versus individual initiatives. I mean, it's a much more effective case when you come over and you say, well, compared to, say, Poland saying, we got 40 million people in this GDP, it's more appealing to the investment community globally if you can come over and say, hey, we have an initiative here that combines the economic potential of 112 million people, $2.1 trillion of GDP, $1 trillion total infrastructure deficit, that if leveraged can be hugely profitable. That's what a secretariat would be doing, would be combining all the potentials of the region as a whole and presenting them in a consistent, sustained manner within the region, across the transatlantic community, and globally to push this initiative forward. And I'm always hoping that at one of our summits, and maybe it'll happen in Riga at the 7th 3C Summit and Business Forum, they'll announce the creation of a secretariat. I mean, think about it. We've created a $1 billion fund. 3C's initiative has created a $1 billion fund. Couldn't it come up with the $5 to $6 million that would be required to have a robust secretariat that was operating regularly to drive this initiative forward? It would be an investment that would really reap positive returns and push this initiative into the next level.
Thank you, Jan. Absolutely, fully agree. It's necessary to have more coordinators inside 3Cs, this kind of secretariat, some kind of office for 3Cs countries to keep relations with United States, with Japan, Korea, and the whole world, frankly speaking, is absolutely crucial for our future, especially during this war situation in Ukraine. Absolutely, it's a most important thing to build cooperation, deeply cooperation between our countries in our region. And it will be my questions absolutely to you, but first, Peter, you would like to add something?
Yes, I want to support Minister Andriatic because he said something which looks like all of us are coming to the same ideas, which we do not share. This digital embassy in Silicon Valley, I know a lot of venture capitalists there. One of our issues that we have smart startups, deep tech startups, but we do not have enough venture capital. And this not only for our country, this even in the United States, obviously it's concentrated in the Silicon Valley. So the Nordic countries did a so-called Nordic Innovation Hub. And they're working, giving simply infrastructure and space, those people to show what they did. Because today, it's not even important how much money you attract, but who is giving you the money, who is giving you the acceleration after that and all of that. So we can think something like that, 3Cs Innovation Hub, why not? And that will be amazing initiative. I do support secretarial thing, because what is happening, guys, 2 months before the next summit, we are coming up together and we are talking already for the 7th time, as Jan mentioned, to create the secretariat and somebody to work on all of those great ideas to make them practical and workable. And this never happened for 7 years. And the last but not least, from economical point, we see with this war that the world will be divided, whatever we want or not. That's the new reality. And if you are capitalist and you want to invest, where are you going to invest? In Europe or in China or Middle East or whatever? You know, I'm not going to answer that question. But logically, our countries, which is with undeveloped infrastructure, and after the war in Ukraine, probably here because this war will finish, I'm sure, one day or another. And all of this needs to be recovered, and here, obviously, the infrastructure needs to be built up on that. Where are you going to invest? Somewhere behind the curtain or from that side of the curtain? I'm not going to answer. You answer yourself that question.
Thank you very much, Peter. Of course, we have, I fully agree with Mark, Boris and Giannis, that we have money in the region from a lot of sources. We have technology available in the world. We have great people in our region to use this technology and use this money for our future. But we have to get to know how to use these free points to build our future digital region, digital economy in our region. And the question, are we ready for using these 3 points for our future? It will be my next question to Mr. Andreas Thom-Splash. But first, what do you think about this idea of secretariat, digital innovation hub, or maybe my dream was to create a 3Cs competence centers, a common place for our region to get to know and keep knowledge about our possibilities for using this competence.
I believe it doesn't matter what kind of way we give the name for this kind of institution, but I think it's important. I think it's a sound idea that this kind of a coordination should be in place. Well, we have to be honest as well to ourselves that what we have seen in the past up until war, that of course there are a lack of talents here in the European Union, and we have to more work to attract that, work more on that, and this competition towards talents, towards capital, towards ideas. I have to say, was the driving force also between the competition between countries. So I think we must answer ourselves at the moment that this is the really right moment when we can make a step forward and really coordinate between our countries, not compete with each other. And if we can answer to that question, that this is the really time that we can do it, I think there wouldn't be a problem to have this competence center, secretariat, digital innovation hub, or how can we, or whatever we name it. But I really believe that we have shown in the past months that we can really deliver, we can cooperate, and I think we just have to build on that forward.
For sure, business side will support and help governments in this field. So feel free, we can help.
Thank you. We'll
but
accept that.
let's back to my question to you, because to all these digital sectors, which Marta mentioned, which Mark Boris mentioned as crucial for our development in our region. The one thing is absolutely necessary to use this technology, these sectors. I mean competence, digital competence. And in DESI 2021 connectivity area, Latvia was ranked on the 14th country in the EU. So it's going better, but not a perfect side. Polish position is a little bit lower, your position. Of course, your RRF plan listed digital competences as one of the field of focus as well. What do you think, has anything changed because of the war in this area? Do you think still that digital competences is one of the crucial targets for you, for our region? And in your opinion, how to build these digital competences in our region?
Like I said, of course, the war changed our perspective that connectivity is really crucial from many perspectives. But at this very moment, also investments in digital competences is crucial, especially from cybersecurity aspects. And if we want people, the population who is equipped with the skills that are needed in a 24th century, we can't live without digital skills and digital competences. Especially if we talk about disinformation, what was already touched upon in the panel. I have to say that Eastern European countries already from 2014, when the Crimea annexation took place, we were really vocal about Russian disinformation and how to tackle that. But unfortunately, there weren't many open ears to listen to what we're saying. Thankfully, the time has now that the people are listening, and we are taking steps forward to really tackle that. And what we can see in the beginning, also if we take a look on Russia, that when you're planning to wage war, you have to first win war in hearts and minds. And that was Russia has been doing for a really long time, investing heavily in propaganda. And we see that it's just sinister what people in Russia are believing. It's out of this planet. I don't know how to describe that. Therefore, what we can take a lesson from this whole situation is that we have to invest in critical thinking, in media literacy, in digital competences. And we are actually allocating a bit more than 100 million euros from RRF, especially in this digital competence sphere. So we are welcome to also have good ideas from the private sector, as we have also learned in the past that usually these kind of activities are really hard to implement in a practical way, but I think this is the time that we cannot allow ourselves to make this mistake. Therefore, we welcome also the action and ideas from private sector that we can implement our policy making.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark Boris. I have a question to you about your experiences as a Slovenian minister in digital transformation of your country, because you are one of the best examples in our region countries which made a huge progress in digital transformation of whole economy. And what can you show us as an example of the best example in your case? What is the biggest success in this process in Slovenia? And what do you think in the next few years? What is the most important targets for Slovenian government in the process of digital transformation of your country?
Thanks so much for these kind words. I would say that I'm incredibly happy and proud that Slovenia managed to jump 3 places in the latest DESI index, which means that we progressed to number 13, which ranks us above the EU average for the very first time, alas, ahead of countries like France, Italy, and some others. Obviously, that's good, but it's not good enough. Our vision is to reach number 5, or let's say top 5, by the end of this decade. And I totally agree with Arturs that digital skills will be absolutely crucial for any country's success. That's the reason why we adopted Digital Inclusion Act, which is the first piece of comprehensive legislation addressing digital skilling for all generations in Europe. And we have already launched the biggest digital skilling program in our nation's history, which specifically targets, obviously, the 55 plus, equipping them with basic digital skills plus digital vouchers for 150 euros to buy a tablet or whatever else they need to translate the newly acquired skills into action. And the second focus group is obviously the youth. What we need to do, and this is something that I've been referring to in the beginning, we need to get more young people excited about STEM. We need to have more IT and other engineers in a couple of years' time, and we need to attract more women into STEM sciences. I think that's an absolute must. I think this is our biggest untapped potential, and we need to make sure that the young folks see this kind of future as exciting and enticing. Now, what are we doing in this area? We will be basically subsidizing all courses in programming, robotics, AI, cybersecurity, and digital entrepreneurship for kids across the country, which means that everyone that has an interest into this kind of things will have access to free workshops, seminars, lectures, be it online or offline, for the whole year. So this is something that we're doing to get the young folks excited. I would say that we're also launching a big cybersecurity campaign, because we all know that every one of us can do the most to make sure our systems are secure and safe just by acting responsibly and safely on internet. And we're partnering with some tech companies to make sure this message is delivered to every citizen in Slovenia, and that everyone knows what are those 3 basic rules that we should all abide by. So on one hand, it's digital skills. On the other hand, it's broadband connectivity that I've mentioned already before. Slovenia is quite well placed when it comes to access to broadband, but there are still around 8% of households that do not have broadband internet, or let's say stable connection to it. And that's why we will try to become the first country in Europe with a partnership with Starlink that will supply subsidized satellite kits to more distant households across the country. And we hope to cover those 8% of households with Starlink satellite kits and any other satellite kits already in the next 6 months. And so these are the kind of creative partnerships and pilots that we're trying to do to make sure that we come up with solutions that are easy and fast to implement. Because what happened in the past is that we had a number of strategies, but very little action. And as Churchill once said, however beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at results. And that's why we're focusing on quick wins, on stuff that can be done relatively fast. And this is something I think smaller and more flexible countries can excel at.
Thank you very much. Marta, you mentioned about your last investment in Poland, in Warsaw. I think that in these whole examples of digital areas in our economies, in all these areas, the crucial is money and investments. For example, from the United States side. We have in Europe a lot of examples last few years, many different signals for American companies from European Commission not strictly for these investments, but maybe a little bit against. DSA, DMA, personal data protection offices, and the French presidency's ideas for shaping EU digital regulatory package. What do you think? How do US-based companies feel in Europe at the moment? And what do you feel like is the most urgent need to make Europe, make Free Seas region more friendly space for American investments right now?
Thank you, Michał, for these questions. And I think for the start, it's important to say not to confuse two things. I think there's agreement on both sides of the Atlantic that some aspects of technology and how we use technology, how technology is used need to be regulated. So the same fact that there are many motions with that regard are actually appreciated by companies, because we also need regulatory guidance. And again, the crisis of the past 2 months really proved it, how many legal bases we have been missing in terms of how technologies, for example, applied at the time of conflict. But there is a difference between regulating and regulating with some degree, let's say, of protectionism. And I think it's critical to keep in mind of the European policymakers to make those regulations fair and not refer or not scope only those that would be touching upon particular providers of particular origin, especially when security is not the primary reason of why those exclusions or singling out would be taking place. As I mentioned in my previous response, strategic autonomy has two sides of the coin. On the one hand, there is a huge degree of that term that we at Google support, as in we strongly believe Europe should be building their own foundations, and we are also here with our technology to help achieve that. But there's also this another side of the coin, which has a more protectionist flavor, and but I feel this discussion is very dynamic, and it's not concluded, and I don't think it's going to be concluded anytime soon. I think, and then again, the three SI countries have been in the woods of that debate for a long time, and I think there's a lot that our region can tell. Again, experiencing, especially the past 2 months, it's critical to say that all these motions to seek for sovereignty away from the US tech should not harm the transatlantic partnership and all the benefits that partnership carries and brings about. So it would be very hard for me to point out the most urgent steps to be taken, except for continuation of building platforms for discussions and showcasing where we can be very strong partners at the two ends of the transatlantic partnership. And my only hope would be that the war will end soon, and we'll be able to apply all the learnings from it and strengthen the partnerships, including within the technology realm.
Thank you very much, Marta. Jan, following the information from Marta's side, I have a question to you about American point of view on our region. By facing direct cyber threats and still having so much to gain from the digital transformation of the entire economy of the Free Seas countries, we see the digital pillar as a vital part of developing the region. In your opinion, United States, Washington also view the digital to be the region's priority, or is Washington strictly focused on investing and boosting the military presence in CE? What do you think? Is understanding in Washington that digital pillar is absolutely crucial for developing our part of Europe?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, of course, over the last 60 days, the primary focus of U.S. engagement in Central and Eastern Europe has been on how to militarily reinforce our NATO allies and to direct more military assistance and equipment to the Ukrainians so they can better defend themselves. But that shouldn't lead us to overlook the emphasis that the United States has given in the transatlantic relationship to the development of, you know, telecommunication infrastructure and capabilities, cybersecurity. It is a bipartisan priority to have our allies, to help our allies, to work with our allies and our partners to develop secure communication networks. And one of the frustrations I have is that the last administration actually, launched or signed a number of memorandums of understanding on 5G security. And they provide a sort of framework for collaboration in the effort to secure or to modernize and to secure telecommunication networks, particularly in the 5G realm. But very little action has been taken to operationalize these MOUs. And that takes initiative not just from Washington, it takes initiative also from the other parties. In this case, in our conversation, the 3Cs parties. And you know, that has implications and opportunities in the cyber domain, as well as in other telecommunications domains. So yes, in short, the answer, it is a priority, it is a focus. Its urgency has been underscored by recent events. And you know, despite the focus or attention given to the overt military side of action in the region, there is also a significant amount of effort being undertaken in collaboration with our allies and partners to reinforce the cyber domain, the telecommunications domain of the region, because that is essential to our economic security as it is to our military security.
Thank you very much, Jan. There is one question from our participants online. I think that's the best question to you. In the United States, organizations like ISACs facilitate cyber threats intelligence sharing between the public and private sector. Do you consider a similar approach in the EU or 3Cs initiative areas?
You know, I'd have to kind of really defer to my colleagues like Marta and Petar and Mark, who are far more knowledgeable about, you know, the cyber domains, cyber collaboration. But when I think of 3Cs and I think of its digital component, you know, I tend to think in two realms. I think of the hardware that's necessary to enhance the connectivity across the region, to allow data to flow as massively and as quickly as it can, as efficiently as it can, within the region, between the region and other parts of the world, be it Western Europe and for that matter, the United States. And then of course, there's a software dimension to it, which has a security element to it, but also leveraging the capabilities that hardware can provide to provide the communications connectivity necessary for growth, for collaboration, and the whole spectrum of operations that, you know, telecommunications can support.
Thank you very much. Petar, you are waiting so long time for your turn, so now a question to you. While our region is still a step behind the Western Europe in terms of the digital infrastructure, including data centers, especially, I think. Recent years showed quite promising development in this area, but it's still a lot of to do. Do we need to worry about a drain of investments caused by the war next door and possible brain drain?
Wow, that's a serious question. But before I start answering, I just very much like what the two ministers said, and particularly the minister from Latvia, that we are quite competitive among ourselves. And probably this disaster, what's happening next door, going to teach us that nobody is stronger than the team. And as small as we are, we're even more competitive to each other. And we need to learn that the size matter, and we need to work together. And probably this is the biggest lesson that we need to learn. I did some statistics because I'm prepared. So in Eastern Europe, we have 422 co-locations, data centers. By the way, in 23 countries. I'll mention 2 of them. 59 in Russia and 34 in Ukraine. So you easily can take out 100 data centers immediately. In Western Europe, 1,321, which is 3 times more. 23 countries are more or less the same, but interesting that they are 3 times more. And obviously, there is a long and bigger, nobody mentioned how big those data centers are as well, which makes a big difference as well. But obviously, this is disbalance in the western and eastern side. And everything what we are talking now, we're talking about cybersecurity, cloud services. By the way, nobody mentioned, and this is a very important message to the governments, that using public cloud services for government needs is more secure than using your own infrastructure. Why? Because technology companies like Google's of that world are probably attacked every day. They have a size, they have a knowledge, they have the technology which any government in the world cannot do it themselves. So as more as public cloud services you use, as more secure you can be. Even from the simple attacks like denial of services. Basically, this is sending you messages which kill your infrastructure. That thing, people who are sponsoring this event are doing every day. And if you have your services, even like a backup on the public cloud, that's already a big advantage. And finally, the last question is, we talk about digital skills, but I believe that our countries produce the best talent in the world. And let me tell you a story where our sponsor today is actually participate as well. And I didn't know that they're going to sponsor this one and the previous one. In Sofia, Zurich Technology School, together with Lausanne Technology School, did an artificial intelligence center called INSIGHT, a bit confusing the names, but very close to that. Where is the copy of model of the best universities in the world, like Stanford, Technion, and many others. By the way, in their management, there is a people from those institutes. And we have been on the opening last week, and I speak from the name of Minister Daniel Oer, who is not with us, but he was on the opening. We have a commissioner, we have professors from all of those schools that I mentioned, which is going to bring, not Bulgarians, going to bring all of the talented artificial intelligence professors. By the way, this guy, his name is Martin, and he's number 4 in the world, like from our countries, actually from my country, but doesn't matter. He brought his 2 kids to study mathematics back in the country from the Zurich International School, just to give you an idea how much he dreamed about that. And that's what I believe that all of us needs to support. Such things, and Marta mentioned Development and Research Center in Poland, that's our big advantage. Deep tech, talented people, that's what we need to leverage and somehow use it together with the good infrastructure, and we're going to prevail. And of course, teaming and advertising ourselves. And 3Cs is probably the initiative which is much more than just money and infrastructure. This is the initiative which is now for all of us important to learn how to team. And I'm very much happy to support this and always will support that, because I believe that this is probably the most important lesson for us.
Thank you, Peter. Before final round, short question to you. Because you are working in big companies nowadays in Bulgaria, you are working with a smaller company, you cooperate to motivate them to digital transformation. So in your opinion, how to motivate smaller companies to invest money in cybersecurity? For them, I'm afraid it's still only spending money, not investing. So we have to change their opinion, their point of view on cybersecurity. So in your opinion, how to motivate them to spend more money for cybersecurity? And what do you think about idea to build public and private sector cooperations centers for different digital transformation projects?
Well,
All of the tough questions for me. My IT skills are a bit rusty. I left big corporations about 5 years ago. I'm becoming probably more now a kind of a, policy, on the policy side. But I can tell you that probably what has motivated them, this is what Marta, when you ask a question about what the industry choose, e-commerce is a big industry because everyone, even doesn't matter if you're small or big, with the digital skills and digital technology and public cloud services, you can go for the world market, basically. And you can becoming big. That's why I say that digital is main equalizer. There is no small or big countries, or no small or big companies. Everybody could become a big, and the startup examples are exactly like that. We have a Google with us not a long time ago. This company was not so big as today. And they started exactly the same path. So invest in digital. Cybersecurity is just part of it. Artificial intelligence is just coming. But bringing the talent will gonna bring the money, gonna bring the funds, we're gonna marketing us better than anything else. But we need to have the right infrastructure to use that talent and to marketing ourselves. That's for cybersecurity, this is super important, especially now when companies experience, lock of data, stealing of data, and disinformation and all of that stuff. So you cannot do e-commerce without being protected because you can lose all of your fortune over the night. Nobody wants that. So from one side, this is advantage, but if you do not invest in cybersecurity, you can be in bankruptcy over the night, which cannot happen in the old world. That's why I'm going to say that that's super important. Don't underestimate.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, it's time to final round. And I have a specific idea for this final round to you. So I will have a very short question to you, but on one condition. All of you must start your answer from the word, I have a dream. So let's try dreaming. And first, maybe to our guest from Latvia, what do you think? What will be our future as a Three Seas region in digital transformation? Where can we see our region, our countries, in the next few years? How quick we made these next steps in this process of transformation, and what is your dream about our position in this process of transformation?
I was listening. I was sorry. I will be a bit. I will step a bit, a bit off from what you said. But listening to what was discussed, I really have a dream that in upcoming years we can really show the leadership in the whole European Union on how digital transformation should be implemented in the countries. And if we can really show the leadership on how things should be done, on cooperation, in teaching digital skills and investing in digital competences, in connectivity, also strengthening transatlantic ties. Therefore, I think this is a real opportunity for us to also develop our economies much more faster and really fix the broken links that are in the place at the moment.
Thank you very much. Next dream will be from DC. Jan, what is your dream about future relations between United States and Three Seas region?
Well, the near-term dream is that the United States will execute its commitment to make an equity investment of $300 million into the Three Seas Fund so we can move that fund to the next level of operation. I would say if I have a bigger vision, I'd like to see the Three Seas actually deliver on its vision. And in maybe 5 to 10 years, have a region that is defined by actually cutting-edge infrastructure, premier infrastructure that'll make it a model for what cross-border infrastructure looks in the region, be a driver of prosperity, connectivity, and security, and to actually deliver on the vision of leveraging private capital to drive forward infrastructure development. That will be important not just for the region, but for the development priorities we face elsewhere around the world. And this is why I think 3C is so important. It's breaking new ground, creating a new model of development. But in order for that development model to propagate, we have to have real tangible success in the 3Cs region.
Thank you very much. Next dream will be from Slovenia. Mark, what's your dream about relations, position, place, space of 3Cs region in European Union as a whole, Europe? What is the future relations between our region and EU, inside EU?
So I have a dream that our region will become the most advanced as well as the most inclusive digital society in Europe, powered by EU funds and 3Cs initiative coordination. And I think what we're doing within the 3Cs initiative complements all the EU efforts and is integral to the development of our region, which is one of the key ambitions also of the EU.
Thank you very much. Next dream will be from Warsaw, Marta. What is your dream about people inside 3Cs region, about their competences, digital competences, about future of our societies inside the digital world?
I would say that my biggest dream is for us to be able to talk very soon about our Ukrainian partners as members of 3SI developing their digital skill in free and sovereign and safe Ukraine. And I think then nothing else and everything else only after that. But related to that, my big dream would be to make the best possible use out of the attention that is now given to the region, unfortunately for the negative reasons. But this is really a moment to showcase many of the underlying values, needs, and I would wish for us not to let it go away again, so that we could all build upon it.
Thank you very much. And last dream was from Riga and Sofia, I can say. Petar, what is your dream about future of 3Cs initiative, but from business point of view?
No, I cannot do that. I'm a very emotional person, as you know, and after so many dreams of my colleagues here and two ministers, I just want to unify our dreams. Who said this? I have a dream. Martin Luther King, maybe? Yeah. I believe yes. But there is another man who said there is no space for small dreams. Who is this guy? Shimon Peres. Yes, he said that. So I believe that what my colleague just said is, I have a dream. One day we'll be the guys who invested in this 3Cs initiative, and everybody in the world will going to say we need to repeat that thing what the Eastern Europe did. And my small dream, a very short one and very immediate dream, is this war to finish, and that would be my dream.
I fully agree. I think that we all agree that I hope that it will be the first dream which becomes true, and I hope that it will be as soon as possible. And I hope that next meeting of 3Cs countries will be, I hope that even a summit in Riga will take place in peace in Ukraine, and I hope that. Thank you very much for our discussion, for your dreams, for your opinions, comments. I should make some two, 3 points summary of our discussion. And it's, frankly speaking, after so many your opinions, after discussion with such distinguished guests, it's very difficult to make 3 points only, but I will try. So first one, I think that we all agree that digital transformation, especially cybersecurity right now, is absolutely crucial for our region. Second thing, we need for sure much more coordination inside Free Seas initiative. For example, maybe some kind of secretariat, some next institutions inside Free Seas to bring this initiative more united, more stronger in this specific time. So the second point, and third point, that we have everything almost on the table: money, people, technology to build our future, and we need competence, digital competence, for our countries to use these opportunities which are on the table right now, and we have to take it and use for our future. And I think that last one, absolutely the most important from our discussion, that Free Seas initiative has a great future, great opportunities, and absolutely all countries inside this Free Seas initiative must use this opportunity and must understand that together we are really a strong group of countries, and together we can be a real, very strong partner for not only for Europe but on global market. Thank you very much for our discussion. Thank you, Mr. Plesz, Minister Andrianic, Jan, Petar, and of course Marta. Thank you one more time. It was a really pleasure for me to discuss with you and see you online or on site. Thank you to organizers, AmCham Bulgaria, AmCham Latvia, Google, and my organization Digital Poland. Thank you to the Secretariat of Free Seas Initiative in Latvia for your support. And of course, see you in Riga in 7 weeks to the Free Seas Initiative Summit on June. And I hope that during this summit, during this business forum, we will be able to discuss much more about digital future, digital transformation of our region. And one more time, I hope that we will meet in peace. Thank you very much.